this is not your first rodeo, but we have to talk about it. You were there last year in Boston for the traumatic events, and now you're back. How are things different?
Well, there's always a lot of excitement before the Boston Marathon up here. My kids attend school up here, so last year and this year I've been here, the weeks before the marathon. So there's always a lot of excitement. People talk about Marathon Monday. This is clearly different. This is much more somber. There is excitement about the race and people that are running the race, but it's a very different feel this year.
How's about security around as you're making your way around Boston? Because I used to live in that part of the country, and I've been to 3 Boston marathons, not participated, but just attended as a spectator. And I've told people normally my memories of the Boston Marathon are, imagine Mardi Gras with an athletic event. That's basically,
right,
it's that big a...
It's a 26-mile party. It's a 26-mile block party.
So how
along the road.
As you're starting to tour the course a little bit and spend a little time in the Boston area, security-wise, what do you see that's different?
Well, we were on Boylston Street. My daughter and I were on Boylston and Newbury Street yesterday, and you do see, a lot more activity down there. But I think it's pretty, they're kind of keeping it close to their jackets there. They, you do know that there's a lot more security, and they keep mentioning on the newspapers and media here that there will be a lot more security. I think we'll certainly see that the day of the marathon. I know we've gotten notices that we will no longer be able to do bag checks. All that has changed. And we did see a lot of police around. But really, they're just getting ready for getting the finish line ready.
Take us back to last year and your experience with that.
I crossed the finish line about 20 minutes before the bombs went off, but I was still in the area. It takes a while to kind of get through the chutes and pick up your, they give you a medal and a blanket, and then you have to walk quite a ways to get your bag that you checked. And I had got my bag and called my husband, let him know that I finished. So he did know that I finished. And they were supposed to be at the finish line and decided there were too many people around. They were going to, go somewhere else. So I went off to meet them and was on my way to the T, which is the Boston subway system, when I heard the bombs go off. And I thought something happened at a construction site. I thought something heavy fell at a construction site. And I went on my way. I went to the T, and I realized that there was a lot of activity, but you expect that at the Boston, at a T station near the finish line. And then they told us the T's were closed. We had to get up. When I came back up, on the ground level, the world had changed. It was just a whole different atmosphere. The sirens were going off. The police were breaking down barricades. I didn't realize at the time. I knew something had happened, but I certainly didn't expect something like that. And was going back to my hotel, which was at the finish line, and the closer I got to the finish line.
So you were back to you back to your hotel already before you got the information that it had been that it was in fact a bomb? And
no, when I asked someone, I asked a couple of women, I saw everybody on their phones, and I asked them what happened. Somebody told me there was a gas leak at one of the hotels, an explosion, because that seems more plausible than a bomb going off. And then I ran into a woman not far from the finish line, and she had just crossed the line. And I asked her what happened, and she said bombs exploded at the finish and people lost their limbs.
And for people who don't know, how far, well, two questions. How far were you from the blast when it occurred, and how far from the finish line was the blast when it occurred?
It was pretty much, just within the block of the finish line, the bombs going off, and maybe 2 blocks. I was just a couple blocks away, further from the, from the finish line. But I was just a couple blocks away. I certainly heard it, and I kept walking closer to the finish line, not knowing what had happened. Really what happened.
Gotcha.
And my hotel was there.